Hello, guys. It's Andy, the Angry White Lawyer, here again. Yeah, and I am a bit angry today because I delved into the cesspit that is X and saw something on there that I picked up on, which I think a lot of people might have missed. But I'll get to that in a moment. So the question is on immigration and specifically invasion, the differences. And if you have immigration, there may be, if you're in charge of a country, there may be justifiable reasons for you to migrate and for that country to allow you to come into your country. When I emigrated to Australia, there had plenty of lawyers. I had to retrain, but my wife, thankfully, was a nurse. Although we're back in the UK now, so she had more points than I did. There was a need for her to go, and she was a valued asset in Australia when we went. Whether I was, I don't know. You'd have to ask my colleagues, but yeah. So there's usually a need for those people. But when you have an invasion, it's slightly different. It's very different, actually, because countries that have been invaded aggressively, those countries, and successfully invaded, those countries have changed forever. If you look back to Roman times, when the Romans invaded Britain and other countries, those countries changed forever. Some would say for the better, some would say for the worse. The Romans brought some good things with them, but there was some barbarity too. It's like Life of Brian, isn't it? What have the Romans ever done for us? The same can be said when the Europeans invaded Native American territory and created a brand new country out of it. And they did the same with Canada, of course. And that area was changed forever, completely forever. And the same happened in Australia with the Aborigines. They were pushed aside, and now, they are, I wouldn't say they're oppressed. They're not oppressed, but they are on the margins of society in many cases. Alcoholism is rife. So their culture was changed forever by the influx of Europeans coming to their countries. I'm not going to get into an argument about whether those changes were for better or worse. That's a matter of opinion and a matter for you. But change happens when those things happen. So when we see across Europe massive amounts of immigration, like we have since the Blair era in the late 90s, bless him, we can see how European countries have changed. And I think for the worst, generally. The numbers simply have been unsustainable. And I'm not vilifying all migrants. Being a former migrant myself, I understand why people want to move. However, there is a payback in society, and the payback is if you do it in such numbers that you cannot assimilate these people, your society will change. So I think it's a genuinely held belief by many, and I think I include myself in that the European continent, and I include Britain in that, we're part of the European continent, is at risk. It's at a point now where it may even be too late, because immigrants tend to have more children. Not being racist, this is the fact. They tend to have more children, and over time, white people, British people will be outbred, and you'll end up with a totally different kind of society full of people who probably don't have the same values as us. That's just factual. Probably happen many years after most of us are gone, but it may happen sooner than most of us think too. Now, this is a genuinely held belief, and there are reasons. It's not something that people are just making up. There are reasons for it. They see the changes in their own communities, and they are worried about it. It doesn't make you a racist. It just makes you a concerned citizen and a person concerned about your own identity and your own British culture. It's a valid belief to have. So why is it then that Prevent, as you know, is the organisation that targets youngsters who may be turning to extremism, usually Islamic extremism, have now said that if you hold those beliefs, you're in that category and you are a potential terrorist. That is deeply insulting to most British people, I think. How on earth have they come to that conclusion? How on earth could they possibly think that that argument holds water? I am incensed by this. It's absolute drivel. So they've got limited resources, and instead of putting them into the biggest threat, which is kids turn into extremism of the Islamic kind, and I know there are some on the right too, but to a lesser degree, despite what certain people will tell you, they are using their resources, which are limited, to target people who genuinely believe that European culture is under threat from mass migration. This should make everyone angry, just like me. And I find it not only insulting, but very confusing. I hope that if and when Reform get into power, and I think unless the electoral system changes, which I flagged up in a different video, they will get into power. They will get the people behind this nonsense and just kick them out. Just like this.
Get your shit and get out.
So what do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I overreacting? Let me know. Cheery's out.